Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, Chapter 4, text 14 to 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavata Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Text 14. After hearing the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa was struck with wonder. Thus he approached his sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, released them immediately from their shackles, and very humbly spoke as follows. Alas, my sister, alas, my brother-in-law, I am indeed so sinful that exactly like a man-eater, Rakshasa, who eats his own child, I have killed so many sons born of you. Being merciless and cruel, I have forsaken all my relatives and friends. Therefore, like a person who has killed a Brahmana, I do not know which planet I shall go, either after death or while breathing. Alas, not only human being, but sometimes even providence lies, and I am so sinful that I believe that woman of providence and killed so many of my sister's children. O great souls, your children have suffered their own misfortune. Therefore, please do not lament for them. All living entities are under the control of the Supreme, and they cannot always live together. In this world, we can see the pots, dolls, and other product of the earth appears, break, and then disappear, mixing with the earth. Similarly, the bodies of all conditioned living entities are annihilated, but the living entities like the earth itself are unchanging and never annihilated. Na hayate hanyamane sarire. One who does not understand the constitutional position of the body and the soul, Atma, becomes too attached to the bodily concept of life. Consequently, because of attachment to the body and its byproduct, he feels affected by union with and separation from his family, society, and nation. As long as this continues, one continues his material life, otherwise, one is liberated. My dear sister Devaki, all good fortune unto you. Everyone suffers and enjoys the result of his own work under the control of Providence. Therefore, although your sons have unfortunately been killed by me, please do not lament for them. In the bodily conception of life, one remains in darkness without self realization, thinking I'm being killed or I have killed my enemies. As long as foolish person thus consider the self to be the killer or the killed, he continues to be responsible for material obligation, and consequently he suffers the reaction of happiness and distress. Comes up back, my dear sister and brother-in-law, please be merciful to such a poor-hearted person as me. Since both of you are saintly person, please excuse my atrocities. Having said this, Kamsa fell at the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki, his eyes full of tears of regret. Fully believing in the words of goddess Durga, Kamsa exhibited his familial affection for Devaki and Vasudeva by immediately releasing them from their iron shackles. When Devaki saw her brother actually repentant while explaining ordained events, she was relieved of all anger. Similarly, Vasudeva was also free from anger. Smiling, he spoke to Kamsa as follows. O great personality Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Person in the bodily concept of life lacking self-realization, differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another. Text 27. Person with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, and madness. They are influenced by the immediate cause which they are busy counteracting because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead. Text 28. Sukadeva Goswami continued, thus having been addressed in purity by Devaki and Vasudeva, who were very much appeased, Kamsa felt peace, and with their permission, he entered his home. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hemangi Mataji. Hare Krishna, Rasa Chandrika Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Mataji, please take over the call, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Danvat Pranam to all dear devotees. Thank you, Mangi Mataji, for reading the translation, and thank you for this opportunity. So before starting with our understandings on Bhagavatam today, we'll start with short prayers. ॐ अज्ञानं तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमतिभक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are doing 10th canto, the most beautiful 10th canto, and we are in chapter number 4. The chapter is entitled The Atrocities of King Kamsa. So here we know in this chapter, so far, just a little bit overview. So far, Kans killed all Devaki's sons that took birth. And now in this chapter, Vasudev went to Vrindavan and exchanged Krishna, came back, everything is fine. And now he brought back along with him Durga Devi as a child in the form of a baby girl. And when he brings and when he realizes, Kamsa, that the eighth child is born, he is also very full of palpitation and agitation, because obviously the prophecy said that the eighth child of Devaki would be the reason of your death. And when he approaches, Devaki laments and begs in front of Kamsa that this is a girl child. There is no like reason that she'll end up killing you. I will make her your daughter-in-law, and she will not do any such thing, and I'll make this show. And she begged all to her best capacity, but Kamsa, being Kamsa, a very daitya vritti, Rakshas vritti he had in him, he picked up the child and ruthlessly tried to bang the child on the floor. But out came Durgama in her full-fledged form with 8 arms, and she questions comes up. What kind of work are you doing? Stop killing kids. The person who's meant to kill you is already here. So by killing me, you're not going to achieve anything. So now to just reminder, Kamsa and all the other demons are generally worshippers of Durga Devi and Mahakal, as in Shivaji. When he saw Durga Devi in front of him, he was also pretty flabbergasted, and because of which he started contemplating in his mind, which starts from verse number 14, that he was struck with wonder. That, and then he started thinking twice that how Durga Devi, the personality we worship, took shelter in my sister's womb. That means that this lady, as in my sister, Devaki, is really a pious personality. So here he starts speaking to Devaki in a very humble tone. And the reason behind that humility is he's scared, one thing, because Durga Devi appeared from Devaki's womb, is what is his understanding is like. And he's also thinking that, okay, now that Durga Devi appeared and she's pious, if she's pious and I have done something wrong against her, then there will be a lot of vikarmas that I might have to suffer through. So let's try to negate them. So he approached Devaki and Vasudev both in a very gentle and a humble manner. He approaches his sister in like next 15, 16 verses, and he says that, oh, I'm such a Rakshasa that I ended up killing like my own kids. Yeah, your children, my children, same thing. And when he says that, Prabhupada is explaining very nicely the Rakshas pravritti in the puppet that we also have. Nowadays in Kali Yuga, we see that we might end up having Varna Shankara and unwanted progeny, and then because we don't want that personality, or we just end up going for abortions. Abortions is also like killing your own child, and that kind of activity is done by Rakshasa. In Dwapar Yuga, there was like few Rakshasas around doing this kind of activity. But in Kali Yuga, all of us have a little bit of Rakshasa somewhere in us, which we are not able to subdue with bhakti at times. So Prabhupada also explains the heinous act of abortion that we go through. In verse number 16, he says that I was very merciless that I killed your sons, and I'm wondering like which planet, which hellish planet will I go to after doing this? So he's lamenting for his acts. And in 17, he says that sometimes you see, Devaki, it's not really my fault. Even the providence is lying like human beings. So we human beings do have the cheating propensity in us. There are four disqualifications that every human being has. That is, one is being in Maya, being too dependent on your senses, then having the cheating propensity, and making mistakes. So these are our four disqualifications. And he says, see, just like humans, even the providence is lying. So, like, it was obvious for me to get bewildered, you see. So, here there is a lot of humility and a lot of repentance in the action because he can see the consequences can be far worse. Then we go on to verse number 18. Yeah. Yeah. Here he says that, see, you suffered this misfortune, the kids suffered this misfortune. Please do not lament on them. Because you see, this is not in my control. Everything is in control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, whatever he wanted, that happened. I did not do anything out of my own will. Then Prabhupada is explaining us in purport that this is his attitude of speaking right now because he is understanding the facts about real life, but at that same time Prabhupada is explaining us that this is true. Everything that happens in this world is prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha. Everything happens as per the gunas sato rajo tamo. According to that, we are Baddhaji. We act as per that, right? And sometimes we think that, see, I did this. Such an amazing job. I am very amazing. I can do nice things. So this is why Krishna goes on to saying further, Prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The vimudatma thinks, see, I did such a good job. Sometimes when they could do a good job. Right? And here he's saying, see, I did such a bad job, but because the Prakriti was acting onto me, and I did this, and I am not at all proud of what I have done. So right now he's in that state. So self-realization does strike Kamsa over here for some time, or you can say for one night. It does strike him. And in this striking of jnana, knowledge, he does say out really important things that is a good revision for all Jivatmas over here. From verse number 19 on to 22, it is really important. If we do have time, we can read it. But yeah, that's too much to ask. 4 verses. If you cannot read all 4 verses, I would request if you could reach verse number 22. So we'll go on to the verse number 19 for now. In this world, we can see that pots, dolls, and other products of earth appear, break, and then disappear. So, in this translation, in this purport, Prabhupada is explaining us the concept of Jivatma is eternal. So, this is true. We have already studied this in Bhagavad Gita 2.23, Nainam Chindam Shastrani, that all the Jivatma are eternal, they cannot be killed, they cannot be disappeared, wet, cut, burnt, any such thing. The bodies on the other part can go through all these processes. So here, Prabhupada explains us very nicely with the same example of pots. We see the clay pots. We make clay pots from the earth. We use those clay pots for whatever various reason, and over a period of time, those clay pots deteriorate, and we put them back into the dirt. So they came from dirt. We used them. They stayed for some time, and they went back to dirt. This is how it happens with us to our bodies only, not to the Jivatma. The Jivatma does not die, it does not deteriorate. You can see, it is always said, my soul is still young. Many people say that. Soul is always young. Soul always stays as it was since the very beginning. But it's the body that stays. It, like when it takes birth, we goes to 6 different stages, right? We take birth, then we grow, then we sustain for some time, then we do have byproducts, then we start dwindling as in getting older, and then we have annihilation, that is death of this material body. So whenever there is death, the death is only for the sharira. Nothing happens, nothing bad happens to Jivatma. What the Jivatma does in return is it changes the sharir. It goes on to the next one. When does the Jivatma go on to the next one? That's only when the Jivatma is a Baddha Jiva, is what Prabhupada is explaining over here. The devotees who are not Baddha Jiva, who are completely detached from this material world and completely surrendered to Krishna, do not come back over here. They go back to Krishna. So they don't have to take again this material pot body. Eh? We move on to verse number 20. Verse number 20 explains us about samsmriti. So here it is said that those who are ignorant in the spiritual identity think of themselves as the body. We we have already heard that and read this before. Here, Prabhupada is giving example of water of Ganges. See, we all have a certain kind of body. A dog has a dog body. Elephant has an elephant body. We are very fortunate, very, very fortunate to have a human body. With human body comes intense intelligence, where you can contemplate why you are here. What is the Jivira Swarup? What is the point? What is my goal of life? That can happen only in a human birth. So we do have a shari, we do have a body. With that body, it is very necessary to do our karma, whatever dharma we have. Like I am a mother in this body right now. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a devotee. So with all these things, whatever my dharma is there, that I need to do, right? To take care of my kids, to take care of my household life, but also take care of my bhakti at the same time. So here Prabhupada is saying that what happens is when you're supposed to do karma, unfortunately we get too attached to that karma, and that's when we kind of wither away. Here Prabhupada is also given an example of Ganges, the river Ganges. When we go to Ganges, we see it is really dirty at times. It does have a lot of foam on its shore. It does have a lot of waste on it which is floating by. So you will not go to Ganges all the way from America. You will not travel to the river Ganga, stand over there and say, Chichi, this is so dirty. I'm not going to get into it because it is yuck. But a mindful person who is a very sane personality will know this is Nira Dharma. This is the Dharma of this river. It is going to flow along with dirt because this is its job to flow along. So a sensible person will get into the water, take that thing away with his hand, and still take one bathe in river Ganges. Why? Because he needs to enjoy the benefits of taking a bath in the river Ganges. This is why uh, everybody should recognize that there is one work that we do, which is our dharma, as per whatever body we have, and then still not getting attached to it. The attach portion will come more in detail in verse number 21. It explains us about our karma. In karma, everyone suffers and enjoys the results of one's own work under the control of providence. So, although your sons were killed, don't get angry. So here is saying that all of us are going to enjoy, sometimes suffer, but this is all because of the nature, right? So we should not get too attached or not to lament. If somebody is leaving their body, it means that person was meant to leave that body, right? This is the way Kamsa is trying to explain. Also, Prabhupada says in the last line of this puppet, this was an actual fact. So because this is understanding by Kamsa, which is actually a fact. For me, it was really difficult to absorb that how is Kamsa talking like this? I mean, he's Kamsa for a reason, he's a demon, but he does have the knowledge. And then it struck to me that Hiranyakashipu also did have the knowledge. It's just the application of the knowledge is not there. So Hiranyakashipu also gave knowledge to his sister-in-law and his mother when Hiranyaksha left his body. And I was like, so, okay, all the demons do have this knowledge that we are separate from our karma. This body is not us. We are the Jiva Atma. And still we tend to forget. So Prabhupada mentions, well, he's a Rakshasa. And still he's much better than most of the people, humans here today in this yuga. Because we don't accept this knowledge, which is, though given by Kamsa, Prabhupada says it is an actual fact that everything, whatever is done under the control of providence. And if somebody had an immediate death, that is because that person had it written according to his prarabdha that was already predestined. And you might be different, you might have different sources. Verse number 2, really very important. If you cannot read anything else today, just read this small puppet. It's very, very helpful. So here, this verse talks about bondage. This is why I thought it was really important, because all of us are bound by so many responsibilities, relationships and weird kind of isms that we have in the society right now. So this seemed to be pretty apt. Here it is said that uh, Kamsa is saying that if you don't have self realization, like if you don't know who you exactly are, and we understand from our Shastra that Jivera Swarup Hoi Krishnera Nityadas. So we are all dasa of Krishna. But if we are not understanding this, if we lack in understanding this, then we are always worried about our family members being losing their body or us being killed or somebody or your enemies being killed. But he says, Kamsa says over here, that does not matter, right? I should have not been this agitated when I heard through the providence that I will be killed, because what will be killed is just the body. Because I was agitated and I was so much in ignorance, I ended up killing all your sons, which was atrocious from my part. Because I should know that what am I doing? I am also just killing the body. I am not killing any soul. So was this, he says, it is a very heinous act. So here we are also going to learn, like from Bhagavad Gita only we learn 18.17 verse. Here we say, one who is not motivated in false ego and whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in the world, is not a slayer. And for this we know, we have already learned the example of a soldier. So a soldier, when he goes in a battlefield and he fights and kills multiple people over there, he is not reprimanded for that. He is in fact given a gold medal or Veer Chakra or something like that to felicitate him that you did a very good job in killing all the enemies, because he did not have a personal false ego attached to it. He was doing it as his kartavya, his dharma and karma. But suppose the same soldier might get into a fight in the backyard or with his neighbor and might end up picking up the revolver and killing his neighbor. For that, he will definitely be reprimanded. He will be given punishments accordingly. Why? Because this was done in like wrong self-interest and with a lot of false ego. So whenever we are doing something and it is not connected to false ego, that kind of work is mukta, and otherwise it is baddha. Every action we do, we can try to think about it twice to see whether we are getting too attached to it or not. Then we move on to verse number 23. Here, Kamsa is begging both his sister-in-law and brother-in-law and saying that I'm genuinely very sorry for all the bad behaviors that I had and I regret it. So he completely, in verse number 24, he completely trusted in Lord Durga Ma's words, because he is also a person who worships Durga Ma. And he humbly bent down to their foot and removed their iron shackles. And after hearing this, Devaki and the brother-in-law Vasudev were relieved from their anger. And this again was very surprising for me. Like he killed six of his sons, and then still she was ready to forgive him. That that thing itself needs a lot of generosity in your heart. That needs you to be a pure bhakta. If somebody breaks our one pot, like really pot, we still are not able to give up that anger. I'll talk about myself, like the tolerance and having the quality of Pandita Samadarshina. So vividly we can see in Devaki and both Vasudev. Both forgive him. And they also spoke to him with very generosity, with a smiling face. We get upset with anybody. We cannot even look at them and smile. So that was a great lesson. Like, this is how devotees are supposed to be. And they go ahead in verse number 26, they confirm that yes, whatever you just told to us in verse number 19 all the way to 22 are real facts. And this is completely accepted as per Shastra. And we also agree in this that everybody has a predestined day of death and birth. None of this has our control. We do not decide what parents we want, where we want to be born, which day we want to die. We will never talk about dying. Yeah, but she said it is predestined, and to accept that is the biggest thing. And I'm glad, and they're like glad that now Kamsa is ready to understand this, which was for a person like me, it was like, whoa, this is amazing. This is real bhakti. So here in this purport, Prabhupada in 26 says that unless one is fully realized, self-realized, one's life in ignorance will continue birth after birth after birth. Until we don't have this understanding what our real Jivatma is supposed to do, where we are supposed to go. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janini Jathare Sharanam is going to be an ongoing cycle in our life. In verse number 27, here it says, a person with a vision of differentiation are imbued with material qualities, lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy. So here, Prabhupada is trying to explain us. See, we know for everything Krishna is the cause. Sarva Karana, Karanam is Krishna, right? So, but when you have that connection to Krishna, you will not be disturbed by any material elements. But when we don't have that connection with Krishna, every little thing, even a mosquito biting me, can make me very agitated. So this is what Prabhupada is trying to give the zest. He's saying that when an expert doctor is treating a patient, he will not treat only the symptoms. He will dive deep down to find out what are the causes of all these symptoms that are coming up and try to heal that. Similarly, we also have to dive deep down and understand what is the cause of our suffering. We say we are suffering. Why are we suffering? Because we are incapable of getting that knowledge that Shastra is giving us, incapable to understand that Jivira Swarupa Krishna and Nityadas, and this is the only reason why we are here. Because of all those reasons, we do suffer. Prabhupada says here that If once a devotee is under the protection of the Supreme Personality, everything is being taken care of. So, to understand this, we can also take an example. Say, for when it's raining, I can either go out in the rain, stand, and then complain, oh, I'm getting wet because it's raining. Or what I can do is, with the intelligence that Krishna gives us, pick up the umbrella, open that umbrella, and put it over my head. And then there's nothing to complain, but it will still be raining. Me opening the umbrella is not going to stop the rain. Me opening the umbrella is just going to protect me from the rain. So the rain is a good example for all the problems, troubles, adi devik, adi bhautik, adi atu, all those things that we go through, miseries. The rain can signify that. But and obviously us signifies as the soul. But when we are opening that umbrella, that is the protection or the shield, and that is our strong bhakti. So even if we might do get a splatter of rain here and there, even after staying in the umbrella, but that is not going to really agitate our mind. That is not going to really wet us down completely because we have the protection of bhakti in the form of umbrella. So this can be an understanding to understand that when you are under the guidance of Krishna, everything is taken care of. And in verse number 28, Sukdev Goswami starts talking, and then we'll have another section of understanding, which will be done tomorrow. That he comes, addressed Devaki and Vasudev with utmost integrity, and then fell down in his feet. And he was pleased also by hearing that Devaki and Vasudev had forgiven him. He hence just approached his home in a very calm fashion. This calmness, though, dear devotees, is not going to last longer, but that we will read tomorrow. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Mataji.
Mataji,
Hare
for very
Krishna.
beautiful poems.